Now, when we read the profiles of successful people, all that we see is the success story, isn't it? We don't see between the lines, the struggles, the challenges they've been through before they achieve what they have achieved, before we see the stories that inspire us. Today, I have with me in the studio Mrs Doyinsola Ogunbiyi, née Adeshina. Presently, she is the chairman, OGUN State Board of Technical and Vocational Education, OGUN State, Nigeria. You're welcome.
Thank you,
It's great to have you in the studio.
Thank you, Busy. Good to be here.
Yes, quickly before we go into your story and where you're coming from at the moment, what do you do, OGUN State Board of Technical and Vocational Education? What is that about?
Well, as the name implies, we see to the skill acquisition of youths. And we have colleges in OGUN State that actually train our youths in different kinds of trades and vocational skills.
That's good.
So that takes them off the normal school syllabus to go into what I can call the hands-on aspect of our people. So they learn trades so that when they finish or get out of the colleges, they be self-sustaining. They will be independent. They'll be able to fend for themselves.
That's good. This room was not built in a day.
No. Oh, well, the journey is long. The journey is long. I grew up in a very, very, very educated family. We educated Catholic family. And that is a very, very protective family, I had my primary education in Abeokuta and secondary education in Ibadan. It's a family of 4 boys and 3 girls, 7 in all. I had the first experience of the gender issue in my home, surprisingly. We were 3 girls. My 2 other sisters were far older than me, but they had a setback in school. One of them got pregnant when I was in school. And then in the process, by the time I finished my primary education, I lost my dad. And that was a terrible setback for my mother, because to cope with 7 children, only 2 or 3 were already graduates at the time. And so she couldn't continue with my education. So I had to sit back at home while my brothers were being trained. And the reason was that, according to her, she told me, this is the first place I'm telling the story.
Wow.
And I think it's just the right time to be telling the story. My brother was supporting my mother in our education. And my brother said he was not prepared to continue with me because I'm a girl and because the senior girls have already
graduated.
Got pregnant in school.
Oh, yeah, and oh my goodness.
And they said, why should I waste my money on
another
this
one?
other girl? She may eventually get pregnant. It's a waste of money. So I had to sit back at home, taking care of my sister's babies, and so on. But the path of man's life is ordered by God, I believe.
Indeed.
My auntie was the first personality on television in Africa.
Who was that?
Auntie Anike Agbaje Williams. Auntie Anike Agbaje Williams visited my mother that year. I had that time I've already completed my A-levels.
Right. I
was just home, no future, no counseling, nobody to tell me what next to do,
what not to do.
What not to do. I was a nanny to my nieces and nephews, and then learning how to sew because my mother was a domestic science teacher. And then she just heard me speak. When she visited my mother, I said, "Is that not Doyin speaking at the backyard there, Enkule, backyard?" Yeah. And my mother said, "Yes, she is. What is she doing now?" My mother said, "Nothing. She's just at home." Oh, she speaks very well. Let her follow me to Ibadan and do audition and see how, if she's successful, she can start work with WNTV, WMBS. So she took me to Ibadan that day and lodged me with her parents in Ibadan, Mokola, I can't forget. And I did the audition, I did well. And in those days, you just don't jump into the tube and start reading news and presenting programs.
Things have changed now.
Oh yeah, sweet voice, beautiful face, you are there. Even then, I didn't go on air immediately. I was first of all the floor manager, taking charge of the studio. And then you know that the kind of thing they did at the time is that they give you about 6 months induction process.
Wow.
You go to every department in the broadcasting house. So one day, the general manager just called me and said, "I saw that you are very diligent staff, very, very efficient staff. You are the first to come, you are the last to go. All your assignments, you make sure you complete before you go home. Don't you want to further your studies?" I said, "I can't because my mother is not capable. I have 2 other brothers after me who are still in secondary school at the time and so on." So I said, "Okay, let me see. I have a slot in College of Journalism and Mass Communication, Fleet Street, London. Let me see if I can still fill that slot for this year." So there was it wasn't the era of GSM. And so he did the telegraph and they said it's available. He said, "Fix Doyin." I was Doyin Adesina then, fix Doyin Adesina. And I just got the admission to come to London.
Awesome. Awesome.
On scholarship to study journalism and mass comm. And after graduation, I went back, because I was a sponsorship. I had to go back and serve the bond,
Certainly.
And on getting there, they started NTA Abeokuta. And they just said, "Well, you are from Abeokuta. I'm from Abeokuta. You are from Abeokuta. You go and head the presentation department of NTA Abeokuta." That's how I came to Abeokuta in 1982. And I was there as head of presentation. And at the stage, they started the OGUN State Property and Investment Corporation by the state government. And they needed to develop or establish the public relations department.
I see.
And then I was headhunted to come and pioneer.
You didn't even apply
another
for
first. I never applied for a job.
Wow.
I never ever written an application in my life.
You are special.
So I just was plucked out of NTA to pioneer the public relations department of OPIC. I spent about 8 years in OPIC. I got tired of OPIC because I stood on principle. The principle was that I was told to lie to the public. And I stood my ground that by virtue of my background, upbringing, my mother will say the truth even at gunpoint. So I'm not used to telling lies. Then by virtue of the profession says, say it as it is. That is public relations profession.
That's right.
By virtue of my religion, as a Christian, I can't lie. So I refuse to tell the public the wrong thing. The profession tells me, say it as it is, so that you can even gain the sympathy of the public in whatever crisis the organization has. So I stood my ground, and the beginning of frustration started. Real frustration at work. I was going to work miserable because they actually withdrew all the official benefits that surround me, my official car, everything, and so on. But that hardens me, crisis hardens me, pushes me on. By that time, of course, I was married, I married in between. My husband noticed the frustration in me because I will leave the house, not my vibrant self. And then he now said, well, I think it's better you just have a break. So he went and processed my admission for my master's degree.
I see.
So I went to University of Ibadan to do my master's. I came back to OPIC. OPIC didn't sponsor me. They refused to sponsor me. They refused to pay my salary. For the period I was studying, they said, you can go without salary.
So you funded yourself?
I funded with the help of my husband then.
Mm-hmm.
The frustration process continued.
Okay.
I just decided, that time I calculated my years in NTA with my years in OPIC, in totality coming up to about 20 years. Okay. So I decided to retire voluntarily after 20 years of service and just leave the job so that I don't die on the job.
On the job, yeah.
And that began another era of frustration, because I wasn't any salary. I became a parasite on my husband. I have toddlers, children were still very young. That was the period I just decided to go into, to contest for the chairmanship of NIPR, Nigerian Institute of Public Relations.
Okay, that's the point.
I had the time at that time. So I won that election. I became the chairman, NIPR, OGUN State chapter. So that somehow kept me busy, but without income. Kept me busy without, the family became totally dependent on the man. And the man was a weekend husband because he never worked in OGUN State. And then every kobo you ask brings trouble. Now to recall that, didn't I give you 5,000 naira last week?
What have you done with it?
What have you done with it? You stand accountable for every penny. So that went on and on. I never saw it as a problem, but we were poor. We were very poor. At that time, I saw poverty because I was taking care of the children. Sometimes we would sleep without food because the breadwinner is not around and I have no income. In that process, when that time was ongoing, God looked at me, saw my pains and suffering, because there are nights we go without dinner.
Wow. My
children will sleep on carpets and settees. I'll be too weak to even carry them to their rooms to sleep. I will sleep with them in the sitting room there. The following day, I wouldn't even know what they will take to school. We are managing like that. Until I had a bang at my gate. We were living in a very good apartment because my husband was still able to pay the rent and give the little for feeding and pay the children's fees, you know. I just heard the bang at my gate. I wonder who was that? At night. It was my neighbor. She's still alive. I call her my angel Gabriel, because she was what I said, congratulations, congratulations. I said, what happened? He said, Governor Ewanga has constituted his cabinet. You are one of the commissioners. I said, impossible. Nobody asked for my CV.
Wow.
Nobody told me I was listed to the list. I said, it can't be me. He said, okay, we don't have light. That day, there was no light.
So you couldn't even watch the news? Or
we don't even have generator. I couldn't watch the news. So the lady sat with me and said, okay, let's go into my car. We sat in the car. I heard the list of names. I heard Doyinsola Ogunbiyi, but I said, it's still not my own.
Maybe there's another Doyinsola Ogunbiyi somewhere.
Somewhere. That was a miracle.
Wow.
Because that is the thing that they say in the Bible, that it took me from the miry clay and set my feet upon the rock. Because I was nothing that night. There was nothing to eat that night.
But the story changed.
It was skyrocketing movement.
Now, from that position
Yes.
You've also acquired so many other portfolios.
Yeah.
And you have this pattern of, if I can put it that way, you are the one that see the end of a governor. The governors don't see the end of it, because it's like another one comes in, they put you in position again according to your profile. Another governor comes in and they put you in another position as a commissioner.
Oh, well.
What is the secret?
Well, I asked one of the governors, the one that put me in the Ministry of Works, for example.
Yes.
He said, he asked all the permanent secretaries, among all the commissioners that left, who can I bring back? He said, unanimously, they just said, Doyin Ogunbiyi, this Doyin Ogunbiyi, that good man. And the man said, how about what? A woman among all other men? How about the other men now? I said, and they told the man, they said, in Yoruba, he said, Tebanwa okuishe. Oga, somebody that you will give an assignment and just go and sleep. That will over-deliver.
Diligent woman.
Hard-working woman. So, he now said, Doyin. I said, Oga. He now said, what is Ishe in English? You see? What is Ishe in English?
Is work.
He said, go to Minister of Works.
Ishe is work. Oh my God.
He now said, no, that's why I put you in the Minister of Works. The work that they say you know how to do, go and do it for me. Let me prove yourself. It was a very short tenure, because that was the time Abacha died and
things changed.
Everything just changed. So the tenure was under 1 year, but that under 1 year, we were able to do a lot of work in that ministry.
Wonderful.
Because the action plan that are set departmentally had to be fulfilled. All the ongoing projects that we met on ground, we completed. I don't believe in discontinuity in governance. I don't believe that somebody has been doing this because it's another regime. I'm not interested. You abandon it and then you. No, I first of all completed all the ongoing projects and came up with my own fresh ideas, and that brought about the OGUN House in Abuja, the government lodge in Abuja, some road networks, the third OGUN Bridge, and all the rest of it all over the state.
I want you to talk about the kind of lemon, that life brought into your hands.
It brought the marital lemon. The marital lemon. I don't see the reason why that should be a lemon to me, because I'm I don't want to self-praise myself. I am a very good wife and mother to my children. I don't see a reason why any man should hurt me in any bit, because I'm very, very committed, very devoted. My life rotates among the men in my life. I've been twice married. The first one, I wasn't nobody. I wasn't anything. I wasn't the commissioner. I was just a bloody civil servant, My mother-in-law was on my neck, swearing.
Just because you're not from the same...
He's Ijebu, I'm Megba.
Can you imagine?
We are both OGUN State. Then I met this man again, out of actually sympathy, because he lost his wife and he had babies. So this man, I trusted him, I overtrusted him, never knew he had an agenda. As soon as I finished the commissionership, with all my investment in his career, everything, every kobo I saved, I put in his care. Every business I was running, I had a 5-year rolling plan for my family.
Wow.
That if I don't work, my husband don't work, my children will come out of university with this, my savings, and then I will make one trip abroad. I must travel from that savings, So you can imagine for 5 years, I made that rolling plan. One afternoon, the man just decided to walk away on us. He absconded. He absconded with everything.
Huh? With all the things you put in his care.
No, it was a joke in the beginning. I never believed it. My children never believed it. He disappeared that afternoon. We never believed he was going anywhere. We were expectant. We were expecting that Daddy will come back. I will come back. He will come back. Such a thing will send you to Arrow.
Honestly. Oh my
that
God.
You finish commissioner, you have nothing to fall back
on.
To.
Oh.
So that was a serious blow on me. Nobody could believe me that I will be needing jobs, you know, contracts here and there. I should just finish commission and works for that matter. No, you don't. I didn't even bother to know, find out his whereabouts. I single-handedly, by the special grace of God, trained my children. And this man, somewhere, spending my money.
Yeah. What a shame.
On women.
What a shame.
And marrying them, living in the house, and half of it was my income. I took my destiny in my hands.
Right.
So I that caused the problem for myself must find solution myself. Okay. By so doing, I was opening myself up to opportunities. And then I'm available for anything, whether I'm paid or not. You know, I got involved in a lot of social work. Okay. You know, motherless babies home is in my neighborhood. I'll go and help them bath the baby, clean the house for them. Commissioner, I said, these are my kids, you know. I got involved with the disabled persons. They made me their life patroness. I hold meetings with them. I was enjoying that. That was healing me gradually. And then the climax of the healing was when Ogunbiyi Daniel came to government. Yeah.
Another governor?
Another governor. And now that was the beginning of the healing, actually. And he now called me as governor-elect. He wasn't sworn in at the time. At that time, too, because I hate lull in my life. I don't like dullness, you know. If I'm not studying, I am doing one thing or the other, busy doing something. I can start cutting grass for people in the neighborhood, you know, that kind of thing. Yes. I must be busy, you know. So I don't have time to think and be worried and be depressed.
So Governor Ogunbiyi Daniel, when he came in?
When he came in, he just gave me a call, just like that again, and said, is that Chief Mrs Doyinsola Ogunbiyi? I said, I'm not a chief, but who is talking? You know. He said, this is Governor-elect Ogunbiyi Daniel. I said, yeah, Your Excellency, you know, I chatted, and I'm a very bright, spirited, very jovial, spirited person. He said, Your Excellency, congratulations on your election. That was a good campaign you put up there. I followed your trail and so on. I said, thank you very much, thank you very much. Well, Mrs. Ogunbiyi, I want you to be part of my government.
Awesome. On
the phone. And that time, I have started studying. I put in for my PhD at the University of Agriculture. Twice or thrice I have started that PhD.
Oh, you had to pull out again?
I had to pull out because appointment will come.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, I'm visiting Alake and then I will end up in Cultural Center. Can you just meet up with me? So I joined him. He just acknowledged my presence by the nod of the head. I didn't know what was going on. I never knew him. So we ended up in Cultural Center. I saw a massive crowd. I've never seen such massive crowd in my life because it's a civilian government. So that day, I think he was constituting his transition work group, not cabinet. Transition work group. So I sat in the hall with everybody. I didn't know why this man said I should follow him. He didn't tell me anything more than I wanted to be part of my government. And then I sat there, he announced, he made his speech and said, if you hear your name in any of the committee, just stand up for recognition. And so I had no idea what was going on at all. So I just sat in the hall. Committee on Information and Strategy listed the names. Mrs Doyinsola Ogunbiyi. I stood up. I don't even understand what was happening. Committee on Women Affairs and Social Development. Mrs Doyinsola Ogunbiyi heard my name again. I stood up for recognition. I didn't even know what it entails. Committee on Commerce and Industry, Mrs. Doyinsola Ogunbiyi. I was the only one that stood up 3 times in that hall. So, well, when I get an assignment, well, something I think it is just the way I'm wired up, the way I'm made up. When I have an assignment, my brain works like computer. What to do there? So you see that I fit in any office. Don't tell me what to do. I know what to do in any office. And even if I'm in a desert, I will blossom there. If nothing grows in that desert, I will plant and it will grow. So my brain was Committee on Information, Committee on Women Affairs, Committee on Commerce and Industry. So I met the 3 chairmen of the committee. 2 were meeting in Lagos, 1 in Abeokuta. That information. Then I analyzed, I opened up myself to it. Where's my strength? Where's my weaknesses? You know?
Good. My
strength is in information. I'm a media person. By virtue of my previous office, I was the Pioneer Women Affairs Commissioner. So in this committee, I can be a resource person. Anything you need to know about women affairs in OGUN State, I have the records. Information that is my strength, I will put all my capability and energy in it. Commerce and industry, I will just be passing by. So I distributed myself like that. So I was very active in the Committee on Information and Strategy, to the extent that the chairman surrendered the compilation and the computing of the report to me. So I put the report together. I read it to the committee. They didn't take a word out of it. So they endorsed it, the committee endorsed it, and the chairman now pleaded that the committee should allow me to present since I prepared the report. So when we were to represent the governor, I did the presentation.
Wow.
I went back to school.
Wonderful.
I went back to school. One good afternoon again, my telephone rang. It was Governor Benga Daniel. He said, can you see me in my office? I went to his office and he said, I'm giving you the board of OGTV. As the chairman. You are going to chair 10 men.
Indeed.
It's like I'm putting the right peg in the right hole. I'm swearing you in tomorrow.
Wow. Just like that.
Just like that. So I took up the board chairmanship of OGTV.